Hello, my crafty friends and creators from around the globe. Welcome to Hither and Jan's studio, or welcome back if you've been here before. DJ here, and today in the studio, I want to start a series on flower fairies. And this is, I'll try to keep the glare off there. This is a series called the Flower Fairies Year. And I've had this for a very long time. I want to say I've had this probably for at least 20 years, maybe longer. And I've always been afraid to use it. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it. And I've just been hoarding it. I lost it a couple of times, found it in stash and stuff. So this year I want to use this and do a mini journal month by month for each of the fairies in this arrangement here, in this set. Now, these are by Cicely Mary Barker, and they are copyrighted images, but these are my originals. I paid for these, and I'm not photocopying these. I have no intention of doing that. And I know that regarding copyright, I think Tracie Fox did a video on this particular artist and the copyright. So I'll put that link below in the description if I can think about it and find it. But I really wanted to use these this year because, as you can see, these are just stunning, gorgeous illustrations by a very talented artist. And each one just gets better as we go through the month. So I'm not going to show you them all because I'll be doing a journal a month for 2022. We're going to start with January, obviously, since that's where we are. And this is the U Fairy. So this will be the first in the series, and we'll see how it goes. I think this will be a very beginner-friendly series. So if you're just getting started in your junk journal journey, JJJ for short, then this should be a fun, easy to follow and play along type series. So we'll try not to stress too much. There'll be mistakes along the way. I can almost guarantee it because that's just how art goes, right? But I think it'll be fun, and we can use the fairy each month for the themes that we're going to work on. Now, these are going to be mini journals. I'm not going to make these big. I actually thought about doing a couple of things. I had thought about making mini signatures, like a signature for each month, and then putting them in a giant tome at the end of the year. But it wasn't really practical, and it would probably make it pretty hard to write in. There'd be a lot more complex signature attachment doing that. And I just went away from that idea. So I think what I'll do instead is just do some mini journals, and we'll use one a month. So we're going to start with January. And I have a bunch of papers and stuff. And then for the base, like the outer part, I just have this very thin kind of chipboard. This is actually the back off of I don't know, I think it was maybe a template set, or it may have been just a set of papers, like a kit. And then I don't even know, this might have been a pad or the same thing. But anyway, this is pretty thin. This isn't like a heavyweight chipboard. So it has some flexibility, which is fine for me. And then we're going to cover it. And I found in my scrap stash this kind of green check type of material that I thought, I'm not liking these edges, so I'm probably going to cut them off and cut out the month and use that separately with the fairy. And then I thought it would be fun at the beginning of each one to do a little history on the artist Cicely Mary Barker, so that it would be there and it would preserve the artist story. Whatever I can find, I'll kind of put that inside. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. And then I have, and who knows what I'll use. I have, just a bunch of, I have some printables. I have some pages printed out. I have a whole folder I've been stashing away of fairy stuff that I kind of want to use in all of these journals. So I pulled out some of it. Like there's a pine cone here I thought would go good for this month. And so I have that. And then I have a couple of printables that I just made myself here. And so I thought we would, you know, have them out and see what we're going to pull from. I also pulled out, these are some pages from some art school books. When my daughter was shopping for an art school, we went to a bunch of those events where they have all the colleges and you can visit all the tables, and they always have these handouts and stuff. And like some of them had some big giant like books that I don't have any here, but that you can that they hand out, and they're beautiful, full of artists' work and things like that. And so, you know, she grabbed up a bunch of them because she wanted to explore the schools. But then once she picked her school, the other ones were kind of just, you know, hanging around. But these were thick books, so I they're all in my stash now. So I put them in my stash, and so I pulled out a couple of those, and this is one of them, and it's got like kind of like this rock. It's a photograph, I believe, of like some rock with some iron in it, and maybe that's slate. And it's just got a neutral dark background. So I did pull that one out, and there was another one. Oh, this one. It kind of had that red for the U fairy, those berries, and then just this other side. So we may end up cutting that off. We may not even end up using them. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. I have some Artie Maze's butterflies or moths. I think some of these are moths, if not all of them. So I like the colors in this. And then I got a bunch of these free images off the internet that are copyright free, and they are approved for commercial use. So there's a cigarette card here with the U. So I'm guessing that is, I don't know if there's also a bird called the U, but I do know that there is a bush, and here's another illustration, like a book plate illustration of the U. This one is just, I like the colors in it, and these were little illustrations, the yew. So these are yew trees, I guess. Maybe they've grown really large. And another cigarette card here with a yew. And then there was this, these are just little, so I'm going to use these as pockets and tucks and things like that. True Love the Whole Year Round, and it actually talks about, there's like a line, widespread leg yews. So talking about those yews out there in the wild. So I thought we'd use maybe some of those. All right. So my intention is to make the journals 9x6, and that should accommodate a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, folded in half, and give me some room for lots of tabs and to wrap it and to do all sorts of things. I can have stuff sticking out, and I won't feel limited in my space. And then as far as the spine goes, since this is going to be a fairly thin journal for each month, I think I'm just going to go with 1.5 inches. So we're going to have it 9 inches tall by 6 inches wide for two of these, and then we're going to have 1.5 inches spine. So 1.5 inches should give me enough room so that's about there. And so that should give me enough room to put the signature in there right in the dead center. Maybe have some outer pieces where we can make some of those, like we can make pockets and things for the outside, and then give some room for expansion so that when we fill up this journal, you know, it won't be that alligator mouth, which is fine. I don't mind. I have a couple like that, but anyway, that is the intention of the play. So I think in this video, what we'll do is we'll get the cover together and get that all glued up. And then if we have some time, I'll pick out some papers. Otherwise, we'll do that in the next video, and then we'll do some decorating techniques. So if you want to craft along and build your own journal, then start here. But if you're just looking to look at some of the decorating and some ideas for adding pages, we'll do some spreads and stuff, you can jump ahead to some of the other videos. So all right, so let's cut these. They're not exactly the same size, so these are, I would imagine, 12 by 12s. They are. So that means that I can get the two from one board and then the spine from the other. Now this one's a little heavier weight, and this one doesn't have a finish on it, so I think I'll use this for the spine, and I might double it up. And then for this, I'm just going to cut it directly down the middle for the 6, and then cut it off at the 9. And for that, I'm going to use my big ruler here. Okay, this is my level and ruler. And so I have kind of some wonky edges. I think these are the better. So here will be the 9, and then I'll cut it down the middle here at 6. So we'll go ahead and do that. Just make sure everything's lined up nice and even. I'm just going to stand up for this one. And we'll cut this with my craft knife. Okay, so that gives our 2 6-inch pieces. Just making sure they're even. Looks like one's a little off, but that's all right. Just a tiny bit, I'll just trim that. But let me cut these to 9. All right, so that's 1. And those pieces I'm cutting off, I'll definitely see if I can use them throughout the journal or journals. And if not, I'll definitely be using them in other places. So I won't be throwing those away. And if you could use cereal boxes for this, that would actually be a good option. Especially since I'm going to be adding some fabric, which you don't have to do if you're going to paint or something, or maybe apply some paper to it. You'll bulk it up a little. So cereal boxes are a good option for this. And then, so that's my 2 9 by 6, like so. Right, 6, yep, 9. Just making sure. And then this one, I'm going to do 2 pieces that are going to be 9 high by 1.5 inches wide, and then I'll put them together. I'll glue them together so that they're a little more sturdy to hold on to that signature that we're going to put in there. All right, and then I can glue these 2 sides together like that. All right, so I'm going to glue these together and let them sit because I want them to dry while we work on the rest of the cover. And this is a little glossy, so I'm just going to use some of my Fabri-Tac because it's a little stronger to glue these together. And I'll be covering these with fabric, and so it doesn't have to be like the best glue job, but you do want to make sure that you got them stuck well. And we want to make sure we let them dry really good before we go poking them and putting our signatures through them. That's that. Make sure everything's aligned. press that out really good. All right, so there's that. Put you over there. So here's what we have. We have our 2 pieces, 9 by 6, and then we have that center spine. And what we're going to do is, what I'm going to do anyway, is I'm going to put a piece of fabric. If I can grab it. I'm going to put a piece of fabric under this, like so. But again, you don't have to use fabric. You can just paint these or cover them in paper, or, you know, whatever you want to do to kind of give them their look. But if you're not going to use fabric, I do recommend that you put just a little strip of fabric or some Tyvek tape, which is what I'm going to use, on the seams. So we're going to have a little gap here. It's not going to be that big. It's going to be probably like maybe 1/8 of an inch, because this isn't going to be a very, thick journal, and I think 1/8 of an inch will do fine on each side. So I'm just going to run some Tyvek tape down this side and down the other side before I cover it. And then that way it gives it some more support there for opening and closing on this seam. You could also use some fabric. You could use washi, though. Washi is essentially a thin paper in its base, so it may wear over time, whereas fabric, even if it's just scraps of fabric, tend to hold up a little better. So just a little hint there. So I'm going to cover this, and then I'll pull down my sides, and then what I'll do is I'll put a piece of paper over the inside so that it covers up the rest of this. So we'll go through that whole process, but let me start with my Tyvek. And then I might even cover the Tyvek in some fabric. Okay, now this is Tyvek tape. You can get it in any big box home hardware store. They use this to tape the outside of houses for insulation and a host of other things. But if you don't have this, you don't need it. Another solution besides the fabric would be those, if you have any of those mailers from the post office, the ones that you can't tear, like a priority mail here in the US, they're used for that. Not the cardboard ones, but the ones that are really sturdy and you can't tear. You could use those as well, and I've used those in the past. You just kind of cut a strip the size of, the length, and then you glue it down on either side, and that does the same thing. But you do want to make sure you leave a gap, because you don't want the edge of this cardboard jamming up against the edge of that one and creasing. So that's why we make the little gap. All right. But just some options there. So, don't freak out if you don't have what I have. Just make do with what you do have. All right, let me cut this first, because I'm afraid I'm gonna measure it wrong. Put you there. Of course, it's stuck to my table. Of course. Okay, so there's my little gap. This stuff is very sticky. Yeah. It reminds me, my daughter used to watch Dora the Explorer, and they had this episode, the sticky tape. And my husband and I used to laugh all the time, and was a big running joke in the house when that episode came out. Where's the sticky tape? So sticky tape is what we call tape in our house and have for years. This is a very sticky tape. All right, so, and don't worry, we're going to cover all this up, so I'm not concerned about having that, you know, the words and stuff like that. So that's that. And I think this side I'm going to do the opposite way because this looks like it went just a little wonky. That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It'll work. So I'll do this. Yeah, this might be easier. And then put this side here, like so. And then I just can easily line up this and do it this way. Like that. All right, that was much easier. Okay, and now since I have this, I can just continue this up the other side. Come on. There we go. Just wants to keep moving. Like so. Got a couple of bumps in there. That's all right. They'll be hidden. Not a big deal. That's that. And then we'll do one piece here on the other side. And then we'll just cut off the excess. So, and that's that. Okay, so that's the sticky tape. I'll get that all down. And now we'll just redo that crease. Okay, good. And we will just cut off our excess. There. And here. Okay, so now we have our cover for our journal, and you know, maybe 1.5 inches was too big, but we'll just make the, you know what, I'm going with it now, and I'll just make a bigger signature, or maybe we'll make 2. So it's okay to change the plan. Like I said, this is paper. It's all good. And put my tie back away. Let me get out my fabric. All right, so let's see how this looks on the other side. Yeah, you can't really see through it, which is good. This is a lightweight cotton, like a calico, I think they might call it, a quilter's cotton. If you go into your fabric store, a lot of times they'll, you know, they have bolts of it, obviously, but they also have those, I think they're the fat quarters. They're like the little squares that they have stacked in the shelves. And so a lot of those might work for you for this. If I have a ton of them around from, you know, different sewing projects and quilting and stuff. So this is going to go like that. And I'm going to fold this over a little like so. And then fold it in. And then I think with the remaining piece, I'll just kind of put it in here to cover this up. And then when I put the paper down, everything will be covered. So I didn't leave myself a whole lot of room. Let me see if this one's any wider. I don't think it is, but nah. So, I mean, from here, because we're going to have to fold these over, but that's okay. I'll just cut my paper a little taller, and I'll make sure these are glued down really good, because I want to use up the scraps that I have. I don't want to go cutting another piece if I don't have to. And I recommend you do the same. So I do have some room here, so I'll give this a little more room, because this is actually the part that's going to fold this way. So it might be good to have just a little extra room there. Like so. All right, and then I'll just mark this. Scissor. There. And then I'll just cut that off. And well, this will. Oh, perfect. Just tears beautifully. All right, we got a couple of strays now. I don't want it to fray, so careful, because we are working with limited excess. All right, so now I will put this here, and I'm going to glue down all of these sides, and on the corner here I'm just going to miter it. So what that means is I'm just going to cut an angle here, if you don't know what this is. Right, but I'm not going to cut all the way up to the corner. I'm going to leave just a little bit of a gap there, so that when I fold these over, that bulk in the middle will be gone, but my corner won't stick through the material because I left that little bit of space. So I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac. Should I put the piece in the middle down first? Maybe, and then I can fold these over it. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to have a piece that just a little shorter. There. This one I'm going to cut real quick. These aren't really fabric scissors, but they're good. They're fine. Right, so that's that, and then so it's just a smidge shorter, because then I want this one to kind of come over the top of it like that. I don't need it that long because I'm going to have paper there. So I'm going to cut it to, I don't know, about here, and I'll give you a measurement that is about 2 3/4 wide. All right. But if you made your spine thinner, you can make this smaller. I just want to have a little overhang, but yeah, I want to cover up that Tyvek. So we'll just like so. We'll put that down. So I'm going to use this Fabri-Fix, and I actually want a brush. Don't use your expensive brushes. I'm just going to spread this out. So let's see where. Okay, I've got about a 1/2 inch hanging over each of the sides here from that center spine. And so I just want to spread this out nice and smooth so that I don't have any gaps and stuff like that. Now this is probably going to soak through the material, and this will actually be a good test. If you are concerned about that, you might want to test your material before you use this. And as an option, you could use a different kind of glue or use some really strong double-sided tape instead. This piece is going to be hidden for the most part, so I'm not as worried. And since it's, I'm spreading this out evenly, whatever mark it does make will likely be pretty even. So let me take this out of here, put you over there for a second, and then we'll just lay this down inside here like this. Yeah, this glue may tend to, since this is a thinner fabric, just kind of seep on through. It doesn't seem to be doing too bad, so pretty happy about that. But yeah, if you're concerned, check it before if you're using something like a Fabrifix. Maybe Fabrifix is made so it doesn't do that. I don't know. I have had issues though with it when I'm making tabs and stuff, so. Alright, we just want to make sure that's down really good, especially here at the top where I'm going to be connecting another piece of fabric to it. Alright, looks like I have a spot here that I missed. Spread this out. So. And I guess you could use hot glue as well. Though I know that gets like messy and tedious, so. And it burns. So be very careful if you go that route. But you know that if you know hot glue. Alright, so I'm just taking this over to the edge. Obviously, I didn't go over far enough. So just putting a little more glue on my brush and just getting that all the way to the edge. And tack down. Like so. Alright, good. Good. So that's that. I'm going to put the brush in some acetone, but for now it's going to stay out because I'm going to keep using it. Alright, so that's this piece. Now that's all down, and now I can do this piece. And if you're going to do any sewing or anything, or applique, or, you know, if you're that adventurous and you want to kind of do something to the fabric before you put it down, or you may want to put some batting in here, obviously you want to do that before you glue it down. So just something to consider there. I'm not going to do that, as you can see, so I'm just going to glue mine down. And I'll try to line this up as evenly as I can. Like so. And then I'm just going to cut off those corners like I told you. And it's a weird angle, so. And do that one. And maybe this would be easier if I marked it and then took it away and then cut it. Let's see. Yeah, this is going to be easier. So I'm just going to mark it where I want it. Draw my lines, take it off, cut it, and then put it back in place. This one I think I need to go a little different angle. Good. Okay. Let me cut those now. And now I have that Fabrifix all over my hands. So there goes the nail polish. All right, so you here. All right. And this one. Okay. All good. All right, now let's line this back up so we have the space. And it's going this way. in those corners where I want it. What did I do? Let's see. Where was the first corner I cut? Was over here, right? Like so. That's that. You can go up just a little. You good? Good. All right, let me get out. I'm going to go from the center out. And I'm going to do the shorter sides first. And then try to firm it up with the ends. All right. Let's get our glue in there. Spread that out, and I'm going to take it all the way to the edge. Like so. Quite a bit of excess. So. Just want to make sure I'm all the way to the edge. Okay. And now I'm just going to take my fabric and I'm going to pull it down tight from the center there. And I want to make sure I'm not pulling it away from the other side. All right, so I have some pressure down here on my cardboard. Like so. Okay, and by starting in the center, you have less of a chance of getting this going wonky, because just the nature of the way that the fabric falls when you do it this way. And feel free to wear gloves if you don't want to get this stuff all over your hands. This is going to be a messy process if you're using fabric and you want to glue it down. It's just the way it is. I don't mind being messy. But these are chemicals, so if you are using your bare hands, just make sure you wash everything and you stay safe, okay? All right, so that side's done. I'll flip it around here. And this dries fairly quick, so we can move on to the second side. And I just want to make sure I'm pulling that so that I don't want to pull it away from here, but I want to make sure that it's not wrinkled on the other side, okay? I don't want it I want it to be tight enough so that there's no wrinkles on that other side when I pull it down. All right, so let's get the glue on. And as I said, if you're not doing fabric, just go ahead and skip ahead on to the rest of the process. So I will put the playlist. I'll have a Fairy Journals playlist, and I'll try to identify as clearly as possible, you know, the journal and what part it is, so you can find it. All right, so now I'm going to pull this down rather taut, starting in the middle again, and then just making it taut as I go. So I'm just pulling it in, and then we'll check the other side. It all seems to be going well, and we'll tighten it up the other way when we put that down. All right, so that's that, like so. La la la. Good. All right. And now we're going to do these sides. And when you do the corners, you see now how that leaving that little bit of an edge there allowed me to pull this over. If I didn't leave that, we'd be right up against that corner and you'd see that bit of cardboard. So when you're gluing this next piece, what you want to kind of do is just kind of pull this in as you glue, so that goes down and then this goes over. So you can, you know, fiddle with it once you have the glue on it and kind of press it down and add a little more glue under there. But you really want to make sure that that corner's down, because once we cover it with the paper, you want to make sure it doesn't pull up. All right, so just keep an eye on that as you go. Take your time and get it done right? Because you want the journal to to last. You want it to hold together. You don't want to put all this hard work in and then it's just falling apart, or it's not lining up, or something isn't poking through. Paintbrush never to be used again for anything. Maybe mark making on my jelly pad plate, but that's about it. All right, and then I want to get in that corner really well, and I know I got to add more glue up here. So I'll just come up a little bit more. Really good in that corner. Okay, want to make sure this doesn't dry, so I'm not going to pull too tight, and I'll show you why. Just taut enough, all right? And then as you get over here in the corner, let's see. I have a Q-tip, so maybe what I'll do is I'll use the edge of a Q-tip here. You could use a, you know, a toothpick, or maybe the end of a chopstick or something there. You just want to make sure it's down really good in that corner. All right, and so just get all that down. We'll go over to this other corner and just make sure we bring that in and that it's really glued down well. Put extra glue if you need to. Just press it down really flat. The corners are the most important here. All right, and it looks like I need a little more glue up at the top here, but that's fine. I'll just add that now. And we're going to cover these edges with paper, so don't worry if they're uneven or anything like that, because it's not going to matter. It's not going to show. All right, use my brush to kind of push that in. It's a good idea. Let's do that. And the finger tool. All right, so that's that side. And the reason I didn't want to pull it too tight is because we want to make sure that we can fold it up. If you pull it too tight here and here, what's going to happen is it's going to buckle a little. It'll eventually ease, but you don't have to pull it too super tight. All right, so let's do the same process here. Repeat this, especially in the corner. Glue, glue, glue. Okay. And pull this up. Tight, but not too tight. We'll get those corners in. Push down really well. So I'm kind of folding it in from the corner and then folding over it to make sure it is down nice and secure. Right, and then just put the rest of this down. And after, if you want to make sure those corners are really down good, you can go ahead and wait for this to dry to the touch, and then maybe clamp it with a binder clip or put it under a book, just to make sure that those corners stay down. If you, if you want to get that in, technical about it. So just have some spots here. I want to make sure go down. And it's fraying, but again, that's okay, except that it's kind of hard to work with because we are going to cover it. So we can cut them off. Okay. All right. So that's that. Put you there. And now we just want to make sure our creases are there. Let this dry really good, really well, before you start going crazy like this, because you don't want to pull up all of that work you did. Now kind of smooth it out around like so. All right. And so there we have the fabric cover. And obviously I'm going to build on that, right? This is going to be where our yew tree fairy goes for January. And on the inside here, we're now going to cover this with paper, okay? And so maybe we'll do that. We'll end this part 1 here once we get the inside covered. And then in the next video, we'll put together our signatures and start with the decorating process. So let's put this fabric to the side. We're done with that, though. I may use this same fabric for some tabs inside to kind of coordinate. We don't need our Q-tip anymore. This can go up there. So, papers. These are from a 12 by 12 pad. I have 2 different options. So we have this one here, which I really love, actually. And then this one, I also love. Now, this had more of a Christmassy kind of feel to it, but I did like, this is a January, journal for the January fairy. So I like that it had what looked like snowflakes in it. And then it had this kind of green grunge to it. So let me just see. And it has that red that kind of picks up. Where is my yew fairy? There you are. So these are the colors. I kind of really am leaning towards this one. I think I'm going to go with that one. I have 2 sheets of it, so I'm just going to grab the second sheet, and then we'll put them in. All right, and these are coming out of this paper pack. Let's give you the name. It's the Paper Studio, and it's Kirby Teasdale Studio. I think that's it. I think that's the name of it. Hobby Lobby. I don't have the SKU. It says 652685 in the corner. So if you're looking for the same one, but there's a lot of pretty sheets in here. Lots of florals. I love the muted colors in this. I think that's why I was drawn to it. But it is one-sided, so it doesn't work for everything. But it does have a lot of, we'll be using a lot of this in this series. All right, so this is pretty much dry. Again, if you want to secure those corners a little more, you can go ahead and do that, but these look like they're pretty much sitting very pretty. So now we have to cut our paper here, and what I want to do is I want to cut it, and it might be easier. No, it's going to go this way. Hang on 1 second. I just got to move my camera cord. I keep hitting it, so sorry for the jiggle here. All right. And we're going to put you to the side because I am more than likely going to do something to you if I don't move you. All right, so I think I'll just cut them. So these were 9 by 6. I think I'll just cut these maybe like 1/8 of an inch inside of that. And then we'll put them in place. So I'm going to put one here. So let me cut that one first. So I'm just going to go slightly inside of the 9. A little less than 1/4. But maybe not as much as 1/8. Because the way that this is so thin up here, I just want to make sure I have it covered. And I'm gonna move you again. Hold on. Sorry about that. Alright, so we have this. It's all lined up. I have my craft knife. I'm just gonna go Actually, if I go at 8 3/4, then that'll give me about an 1/8 inch on each side, right? Yes. 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 Simple math. See, I can do math. And then, so that, oh, that's not right. This needs to be 6. All right, let's do that again. Crud. Okay, so we're going to do 5 3/4 here because this is the width. And that only matters because my paper is directional. It's got a script on it and I want it going the right way. But if you're not if it wasn't, it didn't matter. It's all right. And now this way I'm going to go 8 3/4. You guys are probably yelling at me. All the math teachers out there are screaming and pulling their hair out. Okay, so that's like that. All right, fingers crossed this will fit right. Like so. And I can still feel that edge there, so that is good. We've got all the fabric edges covered. So this one's going to go on this side. And then you can see where my crease is. I have just a little bit of play there. And now I'm going to do the other piece over here. And I want this one, I want this edge, so I'm going to flip this around. And this is the side I'm going to cut 5 3/4. And that's for my journal. If your journal is a different size, then you'll have to accommodate that. Where'd you go? Here you are. All right, lined up. Hold on, I get a little. All right. Really? And now this way, 8 3/4. Okay. I keep shifting the paper. Why is it? Sorry. All right. There we go. Go over here. Okay, so we have that piece and we have that piece for our inside covers, like that. And then our spine will be in the middle, so most of that will be hidden anyway. I'm just going to glue these two down, and then that will wrap up this video. So if you want to stay and watch me glue, please do. I'm just going to line it up so that it is inside. And I want to get this really close to the edge, and I want this just inside the measurement of that inside flap. But if you're leaving me, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you spending some time with me in my craft room. And I'll see you in the next video. So just want to get to those edges. Perfect. Just spread this out a bit. Make sure it's all the way there. I'm most concerned about the edges. I really just want to make sure that they go down. I don't want you in there. Of course, I want it all to, you know, be down nice and firm, but I want to make sure that those edges do not pull up. All right, so I am just dropping that in there like so. Making sure all of those edges are down really well. Of course, this one isn't. And then the middle. These are. I pulled some. That's all right. We can decorate right over that. Not to worry. All right, just be careful. Do as I say, not as I do. Okay, so that's that one, and we'll do this one. Okay. I don't want too much squirting out. But I do want to make sure it stays down. I should be doing this on my wax paper. It's okay. I just cleaned my mat, no big deal. I'll just clean it again. So a little more glue here. More glue! More glue's like more cowbell. More cowbell! Okay. Alright, now, I don't want to put my fabric in this glue I just got on my mat, so I'm going to do this over here to the side a little. Sorry about that. And I want it in the right direction. Just going to sit that down. Let me just grab a wipe quick. I'm going to get that all over the nice cover I just did. Okay, and then push down all these edges really good. Make sure everything's lined up. And just make sure that's pushed down really, really well. Like so. Ta-da! Perfect. Great. Awesome. All right, and that is our inside or our outside cover with our inside papers. And look at that. Now, if this was a cereal box at one time, what a transformation. But you can see it's really not too difficult. It's really actually just taking your time, getting your measurements. Like I said, a couple of mistakes along the way. It's fine. We learn as we go, and not too shabby in my book. So that's our cover. Thank you for joining me here in part 1. We'll move on to part 2 and start working on finding the papers we want, and then we'll do some decorating and things like that in some other pieces. But there we go. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for joining me in the studio today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye!